Great Dane. I had owned other breeds, Dobermans. I've had mixed breeds. I've had boxers. I've had German Shepherds, all types of breeds.
Mhm.
So when we bought Forrest, is his name. Lord Forrest is his name. Um, it's just he's just his stature and how regal he is and how smart he is and how willing he was to work and to train and to learn new things and how committed and devoted he was to the family. We
Mhm.
just fell in love with the breed. So at that point, I guess we had him for about, I keeps doing this. At that point, we had Forrest probably almost close to a year, maybe 8 months or so, and we decided to get another Great Dane, a female.
Now, Forrest is which one? Is he the Brindle one?
Yes, he's a brindle.
Okay.
Yes. And so we decided to get another Dane, a female Dane, and she's a Harlequin. Her name is Lady Storm.
Oh, okay. Now,
She's
for
definitely
those audience that don't know what a brindle or a harlequin is, could you describe that color pattern? For,
sure.
okay.
Sure. Harlequin, this type of marking is a white coat. The dog is primarily a white coat with spotted markings, and they can be black, they can be blue, um, they can be brindlequin, which is the brindlequin patch over the white coat.
Hmm.
They can be lilac, which is what Storm is.
Okay. And your brindle color?
So the brindle is primarily a fawn, either a fawn coat with black stripes or a black coat with fawn stripes. So one's reverse brindle and one's just a brindle. I forget which one is which, but
Yeah.
it's just brindle. I just call them
Hmm.
brindle.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, go on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. So we decided to get Storm about 8 months later, and they got along pretty well together. And we also had two smaller dogs at the time too, so they had their own little pack. Um, and well, a time came when Storm she went into heat, and for those who don't know what that means, it was that time for her to be able to have babies.
Yeah.
So we decided to go ahead and let them breed.
Hmm.
And once they had the puppies, I was a part of the entire delivery process, the whole whelping process and everything. And it was just a remarkable experience, just watching life come, being brought into this world and just being able to provide that nurture for the puppies. And even though she did 90% of the work, we did have to bottle feed because she had 15 puppies, her first litter.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand, I hear people, some of my clients all the time saying, well, I've got a female, I want her to have puppies. I said, careful what you wish for. Okay.
Exactly.
It is not that easy. And, when we see breeding bitches, and that's not a bad word, that's what they're called. Uh, I inspect these dogs, and people come to me all the time saying, well, is she a good breeder? I say, well, let's see. One thing I'll do is I'll count up the breasts. How many breasts you got? If you got a large breed dog, you want anywhere from, 10 to 12 at least. Okay.
Mhm.
You like them evenly spaced across from each other. And those are the kind of things I look for. So, when you said 14 puppies,
She had
that's a,
14 time.
that's a
Now,
lot.
yeah,
Hmm.
excuse me, it is. So yeah, we were on that journey with her
Hmm.
from the entire pregnancy, making sure she had the right diet because that's important for her and for the puppies.
Hmm.
And being that she is a large breed, well, she needs a lot more than what a smaller breed will require.
Exactly.
Uh, Portions and things of that nature. What we're feeding her. Um, so just being with her throughout that entire process, from the pregnancy to the birthing to the whelping to the nurturing. Um, I just it I don't know. I don't know how it if I feel like it just changed me in some type of way. It just gave me a better appreciation just for life and for animals. It's even though I already had that for animals, it's like to watch how well she took care of those puppies because we couldn't let the other dogs around her because she was so protective.
Hmm.
Um, at one point, like we had to basically put her in one part of the house with her dog with her puppies because she was like really very very protective over them. Um, but yeah, just being a part of that experience and watching the puppies grow up, finding owners, I do a screening on my owners. We have a conversation. I get to know them. I don't sell my puppies to just anybody. I'll keep them before I just gave them away or put them in an unfit environment. And thus far, this is her. She just had a litter April 2nd, and thus far, everybody still, the previous owners still have their puppies, and they're doing well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My owners, they send me pictures, videos, they tag me on Facebook. Some of the puppies become service animals. And some of them are growing up with the like the toddler in the house that's becoming the toddler's best friend. So it's like, it's just, it's like an extension of my family. Once those puppies go home, it's like as an extension of my family. So
right. Tell me, how do you screen how you do your screenings?
Well, it's a conversation over the phone. A lot of people just text me and say, how much are the puppies or what's the feed? And I don't respond to those type of inquiries, or I respond with, can we have a conversation? And I'll leave my phone number. If they decide not to call, then that's okay. That's the first sign that you're probably not a good fit for my puppy. So if they call, or if I call them and we have a conversation, I need to know, like, if you had experience with a large breed dog. Do you have other animals in the house? Do you have kids? What's your work schedule? Can you afford this dog? Can you afford this dog? Yeah. I mean, I don't flat out ask that question, but it's like in a roundabout way. I need to make sure, because if they can't, they bring it back to me, and then I have to, to take the dog in. So those are very important and pertinent questions that I have to ask.
Okay. So is the entire family involved in the business, or, is this something you do by yourself, or how does that work?
Well, my husband helps. He helps. He had retired from IMPD, but then 37 years. IMPD is Indianapolis Marion County Police Department.
Okay.
But then he went back to work for the sheriff's department. So at one point he had more time to help. But he does what he can. So it's primarily he and I, for the most part.
Okay, I understand you have children?
Yes. Our oldest son works for the post office. Then our daughter, she's out, she goes to IU, she's in college. And then the youngest is 13. And the only one that really, really cares about this whole kennel business is our daughter, and she's not here. So the boys are kind of like, oh, they're cute. All right, bye. See you later. So they might help me take them out to potty from time to time, but as far as the everyday activities that go along with raising them, I would say I'm probably 70%, and then my husband's probably 30%. He might get mad for me saying that, but I think he knows.
I hope he's not watching.
I think he knows it's true. Like even the litter that we just had, we have a room that we added onto our garage, a nursery. So I slept in that nursery for the first week. I got a cot and I slept in there with her and the puppies. It's like an incubator, because it's so, I have to keep the temperature at a certain the room has temperature.
That's right. It's cold up there than it is down here. So I guess that's right. Okay.
Literally slept in there with them, and I would ask, do you want to rotate? Do you want to sleep in here tonight? And he's like, no, you're fine.
Wow, I tell you, and I was looking at your website. It is impressive. Who designed that? That is great.
Thank you. There's a guy I met here through there's a friend of mine's nephew, actually. He's a web designer.
Okay.
So he helped put all the pieces together to make the website. And then there's a lady, I've never met her. She lives in the UK. We've only communicated on Facebook. She actually created my logo, and she created all of the images for my website. So between the three of us, we collectively designed the website.
Okay. And how many litters has this been for you now?
This is the third litter. And so I was going to retire Storm, but I might just and retire, I mean, have her spayed.
Right.
But I might just hold off because her puppies are so, gosh, you're going to want to see them. I keep talking about them. You're going to want to see them. But you see dogs every day. It's no big deal to you. But
Well, it always impresses me. You have no idea because I'm a breeder as well, but I breed Australian Shepherds.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I know what you're going through. And then, it's, I guess the toughest time for me is when they are at weaning age and they start eating and they
Mm-hmm.
start making all those messes that you have to clean up.
Oh man.
But
That's
I found a trick for that as well. And basically, you can go down here, they have a place called Tractor Supply.
I
And
know
you
what
can go,
you're gonna say. Uh-huh.
you get your big rubber mat and you got your whelping box and all that. But at the same time, you get these large um, boxes that, well, you can get a large litter box,
Mm-hmm.
to use
Mm-hmm.
for cats
Yes.
and pelleted horse shavings. Stick those in there so when they start pooping, you just clean up the poop, put it in there, start putting them in there, and they kind of, use it like cats do. You have a lot less to clean up. So once I discovered that, it got easier.
Yes. That's
Mhm.
what we did the last litter.
Mhm.
I actually had bought a playpen, like an extra long, extra large playpen.
Mhm.
And we bought the first we tried the wood chips, but I think they had an allergic reaction to those
Right.
shavings or something like that. And
Mhm.
then decided to get the alfalfa pellets. They're
Right.
for horses and barns.
Right.
So
Hmm.
those worked out a lot better.
Yes, they do. I know. And then do you train your dogs as well?
Yes, I do. I worked with all three, because I have three Great Danes.
You
Um,
kept one from the litter?
no, I bought another female
Okay.
for to breed with her when I retire Storm. So
Okay.
she just had her name is Sansa, Lady Sansa, because I'm into Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons. I don't know if you are. But
Oh, okay. That's where those
that's where
designs
the
come from.
whole idea of
I
House of
got
Danes
it.
came from. So her name is Lady Sansa, and she just had a heat cycle, but she's 15 months. I'm gonna wait and breed her next year.
Okay.
So she's a fawn, which
Mm.
means she's got the brown, I guess you would say brown coat with a black mask.
Hmm.
Marmaduke. She looks like Marmaduke. so so yeah, with
A lot of
her,
people don't. A lot of people don't know who Marmaduke is. It is a cartoon character that comes on the Sunday morning paper. My father used to send me clippings of that when I was in college, and I used to appreciate that all the time.
yeah. So yeah, I'll breed her next year, and between well, her and Forrest, they should make some beautiful puppies as well. And of course, it's not all about the markings that we're looking for, that we breed for. There's other things that we have to pay attention to. Also, I had embark genetic testing done on all the dogs as well. Um,
And what
I
are they
had looked
testing for?
the embark is for genetic um, diseases that dogs are prone to. So um, they tested negative for the traits or genetic diseases that Great Danes were prone to.
And what are
Um,
those? And what are those on?
the traits,
Yeah.
there's a list. I have to look at my email. They sent me all that in the email. I just know it said good news. And it, I just said good news. Your dogs are cleared of any
Okay.
genetic, diseases that Great Danes are exposed to.
Are
So,
there one or two in particular that the audience needs to know about?
um, a lot of people ask about. They're worried about more or less their longevity. A lot of people ask about that because they hear that Great Danes don't live long. I'm like, well, there's smaller dogs that don't live long as well. I said, they're so I there's no test you can get for that. The only advice that I can give is just be careful what you feed the dog, exercise your dog.
Mhm.
You get in what you get out, pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
I think what most people, when they give large breed dogs, one thing I know they do test for is hip dysplasia and
mhm,
elbow dysplasia. And
mhm,
those are probably the two main things that they test for, and that's what they're concerned about, I think, in many of the large breed dogs. And so
mhm,
they will take X-rays and send them off to the Orthopedic Foundation Association. And I
mhm,
think those are two major things that they look for in large breed dogs. Isn't that
mhm.
correct?
Which is something I was going to do, and thyroid as well as eyes, but I talked to other breeders. I don't know, it's kind of like I get pros and cons about the testing because from what I understand, um, even though the x-ray may not show those issues now, they can um, in the future, they can still, those issues can still evolve. So not sure how true that is because I never really consulted with the vet about it, but
Well, I can tell you that, the Orthopedic Foundation Associates have been around longer than me, my grandfather and everything. So they're pretty good at picking these things out. I guess it is the timing that's the most important. In other words, you don't want to get them tested before 24 months of age. 24 months or older is usually best. And it's all about confirmation because the difference is that those who have been looked at by the OFA, those dogs tend to, if they're going to get hip dysplasia, it's probably going to be a lot later on in life and they're less likely to have real bad problems for it. And that's the only way people do it. And I guess, breed Great Dane enthusiasts, they're probably going to be looking for that, and that probably makes them feel more comfortable about it. Because I've run across a few that just had terrible confirmation. Matter of fact, I had one guy, he had a dog that was 3 years old, and he had lameness, starting when he was 2. And eventually we sent it off to OFA. We did some x-rays. It turns out this dog got confirmation so bad that, he had it in his hips, he had it in his knees, he had it in his shoulders. And unfortunately, this dog had to be put down. So I don't know what the breeding status on those dogs were, but it was something that, that I had not seen before, but it does exist. So we do see that on occasion.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, that's fortunate.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when are you going to retire, Miss? And what's her name again?
Storm. I don't know because I can't say for sure that I don't want another letter from her. And I gotta make sure I haven't bred Sansa yet. So I gotta make sure that that will happen. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
sometimes, dogs breed and you don't nothing really
Mhm.
happens from it. So it's just I'd rather just hold off maybe another year or so before I decide to spay her.
Right.
I don't want to risk I just don't want to risk having 2 female dogs in the heat at the
Right.
same.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that can be complicated. Because I had 2 females at one time that I was breeding, and they had litters within days of each other. So I've got essentially about 24, 25 puppies I'm looking after.
The
And that was challenging. But
Mhm.
I want to go back to the hip display part because you and I both know what that is, but let's make sure the listener understand what that is. Hip dysplasia is an hereditary disease that affects the hip socket of the joints there, the ball and socket joint. And in that case, you know, you're gonna find that ball is not well formed, it's not sitting in that socket properly, and eventually they'll develop arthritis with that. And it's not just in Great Danes that we see this in. We will see this in Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds, but mostly anytime you're dealing with a pet that's over 50 pounds, you can get osteoarthritis, and joint disorder. So that's one thing. Also, in large breed dogs, especially in Great Danes and some of your cane corsos. I've seen this in German Shepherds. There's a disease called gastritis dilatation volvulus. Basically, it's bloat in dogs where their stomach will get enlarged and it'll twist. And this is a life-threatening disease that we see sometimes in these breeds, usually associated with what you're feeding, not only what you're feeding it, but when. Okay, a lot of history on these dogs is that, okay, well, we feed them, we let them run loose, they come in all hot and bothered, they drink a lot of water, and all of a sudden, they get a
Mhm.
lot of gas in their stomach, and they're on the way to the hospital. So, I want to make that aware to our listeners that these are the kind of things that we have to look for. Doesn't happen that often, and again, like you say, Juana, if you feed them properly, exercise them properly, that usually doesn't happen.
Exactly. And that's another concern that a lot of my customers they ask about is that they're asking me, they want my advice. I'm like, well, I'm not a vet, but my dogs have not had the surgery. And the reason that they have it is because, for one, it's not 100% effective. For two, when I feed my dogs, I don't let them run for at least 30 minutes. If it's in the summertime and they drink a lot of water, I won't let them run for at least 30 minutes. So if I stay consistent with that schedule, then I think that I'm doing the best I should do as far as on my part to prevent them from getting it.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, that's good advice. Any other advice for, what you would do in terms of feeding for your dog? Do you have particular dog food that you use? And do you feed them once or twice a day, or how does that work?
Well, I'll start them on mush or gruel in probably a week and a half when their teeth are forming. Actually, it'll be to the point when she's done nursing, and I'll know she's done nursing because she won't spin. She'll be irritated with them, annoyed with them, and she won't want to feed them. At that point,
Snapping at them, yeah.
yeah. At that point, I have to feed them. So I start with the gruel, which is some dry puppy food. I'll add other ingredients. I add just a little bit of pumpkin, some Karo syrup. I also use Science Diet for sensitive stomach can. I use just a little bit of that. Some cottage cheese, yogurt, and it's, I measure it. I don't just dump it in there. I try to be pretty consistent about the portions.
Uh-huh.
And some goat milk.
Okay.
So I mix all that, blend it together, and so for the puppies, I'll feed them 3 times a day, in the morning, in the afternoon, and again at night. At 6 weeks or so, when I start them solely on puppy food, then they'll eat probably maybe a cup or so twice a day. And then by the time they're 8 weeks, I transition them on to adult large breed dog food. My puppies go home on adult large breed dog food, and that seems to work for them.
Oh, you don't give them puppy food until they're 2 years old?
No, I give them puppy food until they're 8 weeks old, and then I start them on large breed adult dog food. Okay. Yeah, so they're off puppy food before they leave my house. And I also give them a supplement for their joints. They take a supplement every day as well. And what else do I give them? I give them coconut oil. I give them coconut oil as well for their skin and for their coat. And there's other things. There's other benefits to it. I'd have to go back and do some more research on it. But those are the main benefits why I give them coconut oil, because they shed, and I think that helps with the shedding as well. So yeah, so I would say I feed them Purina Plus chicken, and I get I go to Tractor Supply as well. I get a big bag, and people think they eat a whole lot. They don't eat a whole lot. I can get a big 50-pound bag for all 3 of my dogs that will last for probably a week and a half. And the bag probably costs about $60. So I don't overfeed them. I don't free feed them. They eat twice a day, about 2 cups per dog. They drink water a lot, which is fine. And I had a point in my head and I forgot what I was going to say. Gosh.
No, we can circle back.
Maybe it'll come back to me. Yeah. But yeah, and I was saying that I screened the owners if they can make sure they can afford my dog. What I meant by that is all of my dogs have health insurance. I think that that's important. Just like people, we have health insurance, and you have life insurance. It's because some things are just inevitable. They're going to happen, and accidents happen. So, and there's all types of policies out there depending on what plan that you want to invest in. But I think at the minimum, maybe $50 a month should be able, is an affordable amount for some type of pet insurance. So they leave here from my home with 30 days complimentary pet insurance through AKC. Now, I did change over to Nationwide because my employment covers some of that. But as long as they have some type of insurance, one of the owners, she was traveling and she called me devastated. She's like, "Oh, my pup, she took them boarding. I don't board my dogs either. I don't board my dogs. I have a family who watches my dogs when we travel.
Mm-hmm.
That's another whole other conversation. But she took her dog boarding, and when she sent me pictures, I said, "Why didn't you bring them to me?" And I guess she doesn't want to bother me because I had a pregnant female.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, she calls me frantic. She's like, "Oh my gosh, they called me from the boarding facility. He's got to go to the ER." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" And they thought it was bloat, but he's only 7 months. I'm like, I doubt it's bloat. And it wasn't. It was, I guess, pneumonia, or they said he consumed a towel of some sort. Anyway, I think it was negligence. I would have been upset because the puppy went in healthy, he came out sick. She ended up with a $6,000 vet bill.
Ooh.
$6,000. She had
Mm-hmm.
pet insurance, but she didn't have the right policy. The policy she had only covered, I think it was $500 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure that you get the right policy. Even the ones that I have on my dogs, it's about 7,500 per year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm either going to invest in another policy or try to find a way to increase it, because $6,000 that's 3 nights staying in ER. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
you know, I think would need more than that. So that's another conversation that I have with the owners of my puppies as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we offer insurance here. We use Nationwide most often, but there are several good plans out there.
Mm-hmm.
We also offer the health plans as well, so that you just pay a certain amount every month. That'll get you free examination, blood work, your vaccinations, some of your heartworm preventative, that kind of thing. So that kind of helps. And there's certain breeds that we'll recommend that for because they just, a problem waiting to happen. For instance, Cocker Spaniels. God made Cocker Spaniels just so veterinarians could work on their ears. Okay.
I
I
believe that.
I am surprised when I come across a Cocker Spaniel that does not have an ear infection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think also, I guess the difference between where you are and where we are is that, down here, everything grows really, really well down in the Southeast. Worms, flies, ticks, fleas. We're the allergy, Atlanta, Georgia is the allergy capital of the world. So
Mm-hmm.
we see a lot of stuff down here. And, it would behoove an owner to get some insurance. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but getting back to the puppies, I guess when I breed my puppies, I'm a little different. A lot of people don't realize. They say, well, why do you feed your dog puppy food until they're 2 years old? Sometimes I do it till they're 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
because my dogs are very active. I mean, we're on a couple acres here and they run all the time. So I say,
Mm-hmm.
well, why do you do that? I said, well, the only difference between puppy food and adult food is this. Puppy food has more carbohydrate and more protein in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which these guys are burning off left and right. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and as far as puppies go, well, they probably need extra carbohydrate just to grow and extra protein just to grow. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend they keep my puppy food to at least a year old.
Mm-hmm.
To help, and large breed dogs probably longer than that because they
Mm-hmm.
need that extra protein, they need extra carbohydrate. And people have their own opinions, but I found that to be probably the best in terms of making sure they have all the nutrients that they need. And again, when you got a dog that runs, I mean, never stops running. He's always out there burning off that energy, never gains weight. He's in good weight, but he never get fat. On puppy food. I usually stop it, like I said, around 4 years old. That's only because they start slowing down. And
Mm-hmm.
like I say, the only difference between the two is that puppy food has more carbohydrate and more protein in it. So, just for those listeners, that's the only difference between them and adult dog food. So just keep that
Mm-hmm.
in mind. Uh, Also, when I talk about selling my puppies, a lot of times they go at 6 weeks, but they're a smaller breed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you usually average around 45, 50 pounds, between 45 and 55 pounds, depending on whether it's a male or female.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, they're up there. Weaning is this, and the listener needs to understand what weaning is. It means complete separation of mama from puppies, and the way that happens is that those puppies start growing teeth between 4 and 6 weeks old. So now they're trying to suck on mama, and mama don't like them biting on her. So that's when she starts trying to, hey, this is enough. Y'all go eat that food out that bowl. So. So they're gonna start, all you gotta do is start getting them to understand what that bowl is, first of all. You know,
Mm-hmm.
put food in there, they're gonna stomp around in it, they're gonna figure out, hey, this is something that's pretty good. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with the water. Okay, so after a week or two, they figure it out. So then once they learn how to eat out of bowls and drink out of bowls, then you take those puppies and put them on one side of the house, or sell them, or and put mom on the other side of the house, because you need to separate them, because the longer they suck on that breast, mom's
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep making milk.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
want to dry her up. And
Yep.
normally to dry them up, you got to separate them, and of course, cut down on mama's food a little bit. And eventually those breasts will shrink up. So it's a, it's kind of a work in progress. It's a lot of work to have puppies. A lot of people don't realize. So that's why I say, if you're planning on breeding, make sure you read up on your breed. Uh, Stay away from Google. Find a veterinary website or the American Veterinary Medical Association website to get accurate information on what you want to be into. Because a lot of times, there can be issues with the puppies having puppies. I mean, your dogs having puppies, because sometimes they'll have dystocia, which means that for some reason or the other, they can't have the puppies, and then they have to have a cesarean section. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
listeners, they do C-sections in dogs too. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be cognizant on what you're doing. And, again, and I have people come in with little Yorkies. All right. They're 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. And you're asking them to have, and, if they got more than 3 puppies, they're going to have a problem, most likely,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going, those puppies are going to drain them out of milk, and then they're going to have what we call milk technique. They're going to suck all the calcium out of them. And next thing you know, they're coming to see me. So I always tell people, be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Make sure you,
That's true. That's true.
you
They'll.
have to be dedicated and committed, okay,
Mhm.
to this.
It's a
This is not a halfway job. You have to be committed just like you are.
yes.
Okay. And that's
That,
probably a testament to your success. And you know what? While we're on the subject, what is the website for House of Dames, by the way? Could you tell our listeners that?
yes, it's houseofdamesllc.com.
All righty. And is there a phone number?
Well, there's an email, which is houseofdames@att.net.
Okay, great, great. Want to repeat that one more time so listeners can write that down.
The website is houseofdamesllc.com. And the best way to contact me is by email, which is houseofdames@att.net.
Okay, great. Okay, so you've been doing this for how long now?
So let's see, 2022. So it'll be 2 years. It's coming up 2 years. And like I said, it's the third litter. So Storm, I tell you, she goes in heat. I don't know. It seems like every 4 months. And even with this litter, I skipped a heat cycle before I bred her.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I'm contemplating getting her fixed, because she'll be in heat. She'll be in heat probably about 3 or 4 months from now. It's like
Mm-hmm.
clockwork. She's a good breeding dog. She's a good breeding
Mm-hmm.
dog, but because she has large litters, I have to be careful. I don't want to I don't want to cause any issues with like overbreeding her or anything like that. So I'm going to definitely give her a rest, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll see if a year or so if we decide to breed her again.
Well, my first boss told me you can't argue with success.
Yeah.
At the same time, you cannot argue with failure. So, if I find a breeding business doing well, then I will continue to breed her until, and basically what I look at is, you know, the ones that I bred, there's a specific number, it's a magic number. I don't know why this happens, but she will have 9 puppies every litter, like
Mm,
clockwork. Don't ask me how that happens, but, she's had 6 litters so far, and I'm probably going to retire her. I kept a female out that once, but once you find one, that doesn't have any problems, and it looks like you had a you got good luck with that, because a lot of times you're gonna have problems. It's gonna be on the first litter,
mm-hmm,
and the
mm-hmm.
fact that she was so protective and took care of those puppies, that
Hmm.
first litter, that's always a good sign.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And then with Sansa. she just had her first cycle at 15 months.
Mm.
So it could be another 15, I don't know, it could be 10 months. That's, so I'm gonna hold off on Storm just to see how Sansa does with,
Yeah.
with cycle.
And just for our listeners, on average, heat cycles occur every 6 months, usually. It can be longer between heat cycles and large breed, but in general, you're looking at it twice a year on a heat cycle on a dog.
Mhm.
Okay. So is there anything else you want us to know about your business? And are you gonna continue this for a long time or what?
I think so. I I I enjoy doing this. Yes, it's a full-time job, but when I see the creation that comes from this, it's hard not to want to continue to do it.
Mm.
Um, and I also, I'm sure if you can see behind me, I also created more or less a clothing brand behind House of Danes.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
this is one of my tracksuits. This is like a velour tracksuit.
Okay.
Um, and I started off, here's how it started. So when my owners would pick up their puppy, I provide them with a puppy package. I
Right.
provide things for the puppies. And I decided to, I was like, well, I think the owner deserves something too, right? I mean, they have to take care of this puppy. So once I saw how the logo looked on a shirt, which the lady told you about, her name is Marina, and she can be reached on Facebook as well. I think it's Animal Lovers Design or something like that, but she's great. Ukraine, so we have to communicate through usually Facebook, and her time zones are totally different from the US. She's great, and she's very affordable, and you tell her what you want, and she's on it. But anyway, she put my logo on a T-shirt, and I was like, oh, I like how that looks. So a friend of mine has a T-shirt shop, and I had worked with him for probably about a year, and I was providing T-shirts for my dog owners. Well, once I would post, someone buying a T-shirt or wearing a T-shirt, then my other Facebook friends were like, "Oh, I want a T-shirt. I want one." And some of them didn't even have. Most of them didn't have Great Danes for sure. Some of them didn't even have dogs. They had cats or no pets at all, but they wanted to support the business and what I was doing. So I started putting my logo on just T-shirts and selling them just like that. And then I decided to take it a step higher and get more type of clothing made. Sweatsuits. I've got jackets. I've got Letterman jackets. I've got short sets. And here's one of the short sets right here behind me.
Oh, nice, nice.
And I've even got baseball caps. So yeah, that came out of this, and it wasn't even intentional. But it's working out for me. And I like being creative and just coming up with different types of material to put my design on. And people, they wear, they take pictures. To me, they'll post it, they'll tag it, tag me on it. I'm like, oh, just I don't know.
Sounds great. You are quite the entrepreneur, I'll tell you. And you are a testament to what Black people can do when they put their minds to it. And I tell you, it's very interesting how your concept came about and how you reach out to different people, especially that young lady in Ukraine. Is she safe, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, she's like I said, you reach out to her, let her know what your concept is, and she'll work with you. Good thing about with my situation, she was into Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. So a lot of those images, she was like on it. She's like, I got something for it. I got something for it. And she showed it to me, and I'm like, God dang it, that's it. It's thought alike. So yeah, anytime I need something, a poster, any type of if I want to add something to my website, I just reach out to her and she'll make it happen.
You ever thought about making some magnets or any designs that you can put on cars?
I've got a air freshener that you can put inside your car,
Okay.
but not magnets on. You mean on the outside of the car?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't done that.
Or something that you can put in the middle. Because I got a friend of mine, he tricks out cars and he puts a lot of designs and wraps on cars too. So
Okay. Oh,
that was out. I thought that might be something that you might want to think about as well.
yeah, it's crossed my mind because I want to invest in a vehicle just for transporting my dogs in because they're so big. So
Right.
at one point I thought about purchasing like a used van
Hmm.
just just for that. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and put a wrap on it so you can put those House of Thing, House of Dragon things on them. You
Right.
you'll get some attention going down the street, I tell you. Wow, I tell you, this has been fascinating and it's been great talking to you. Are there any questions that you have of me as a veterinarian? Mm, mm,
Let's see. I'm sure, I'm sure I have questions that I'll be like, I should have asked him this, but
mm.
um
Well, you got plenty of time to do it. And I tell you what, I'm on Facebook as well. And basically, for you and my listeners, our website is www.redoakah.com. The initials for Animal Hospital. That's redoakah.com. And we have a nice website. So, and also we'll have our Facebook page, Instagram, and all that. So if you want to get in touch with us, just let us know. Let's go on that website or on Facebook and let's reach out. We'll be glad to answer any question you have. And, at some point, if you need some support, we'll give you some numbers that you can kind of call. We're also, all our contact information is on there as well. Again, feel free to reach out. We're located at 4895 Ben Hill Road in South Fulton, Georgia, 30349. Our phone number is 404-767-8513. We've been here for almost 40 years. So again, and of course, and I thought you probably don't know this, but I probably do most of the ear trimming here in this part of Atlanta in South Fulton. So we do ear trims probably
mhm.
3 or 4 a week. So, I've got people that, we do ear trims all the time.
And a lot of people ask about that too, of like, is it a pro or a con to getting their ear trimmed? I'm like, well, of course it's a cosmetic surgery, but I have found that my female, the Storm, hers are natural. I have found
Mhm.
that she does get more ear infections than the other two that have
Mhm.
problems.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, in terms of great things, they don't have to have it done. Okay,
mhm,
they look fine with the ears just the way they are. Uh, Breeds like Dobermans, probably not. You probably, want to say, yeah, I probably want to cut those ears, right?
mhm,
So, but in Great Danes, not necessary because they look great with the ears the way they are. I had done some work for a lady here, and she's actually on the other side of town. She's not around anymore, but she raised Harlequins and blacks only.
mhm.
And every time I look up, she's coming in once, every 2 or 3 months because she has several of them. So she
Mhm.
was having litters, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a year. But she was good at it because her and her partner, that's all they did. They didn't work. That's all they did was,
Yeah, you can't work with 3 litters a year.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, listen, thanks for coming on the show. Is there any final words that you'd like to give our listeners?
Um, well, if you're interested in, I'm in Indiana, but if you're local, or we also deliver. So if you're interested, we have 2 puppies left. I was going to show one, but I don't know if we have time. Um,
Yeah, go grab her.
okay, I'll
Go
go
grab her.
be right back.
Mhm. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while we're waiting, just so you know, Great Danes can grow up to upwards of anywhere from 140 pounds to 180 pounds. Uh, and they can be um, quite intimidating when you see them. And again, we were talking about the pros and cons of cropping ears. Again, it is just a cosmetic thing. It does not have to be done in certain breeds. But again, if you're looking at a Doberman, yeah, you probably want to cut them because that is what we call the standard of the breed. There is no advantage to them being cut or not cut. In some instances, she was right that they do tend to get ear infections more often when they're not cut. but that depends on where you're up. In Atlanta, certainly. All right, let's take a look at this one.
This,
Look at that. You got your little black there. Oh, she's asleep. Look at
this is one of
that.
the male blacks.
Well, are you bored? Well, you
He's
woke
boy
me up. Come on now.
he is available,
Oh,
and they just opened their eyes a couple days ago, and I don't know, I just kiss on them all the time. I'm sorry.
so they're about 10 days old, 12 days old?
No, they opened their eyes a little bit late. They were born on April 2nd and 3rd. Um,
Okay.
so my other two litters, I feel like they opened their eyes around 10 to 12 days. It took
Hmm.
them a bit longer.
Okay. All righty. Boy, is this a male or female?
This is a male.
Okay. Well, isn't that something? Well, listeners, there you go. Once again, what is your website?
It is houseofdanesllc.com.
And your email address?
Houseofdanes@att.net.
All right. So if anyone is interested in a Great Dane puppy, there you go. All right. Go ahead and get in contact with her. And
Yeah.
again, we appreciate you being on the show. Good luck with your future endeavors. Sounds like you got everything going on just right. So we're gonna look you up. And again, if you need anything from me, look us up on redoakah.com. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.